I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. When I picked up all the equipment at George Hooper's house, he also gave me a buck saw. The buck saw was one that his father had, and George wanted me to sharpen the blade up. This one had some special meaning for him. The one in red is mine. The green one is George's. You can see the difference between the teeth just in the way that this one's been filed with a straight file, and this one has been filed with a actual file for cutting this kind of teeth. So it's my intention to take the blade out of this one, lay it up against this one, and use it as a template to mark these out so it can be recut. Before I can do that, I have to free up these turnbuckles. This turnbuckle is loose, but it needed to be oiled just so that it worked a little freer. I'm going to clean this one up while I'm doing George's, so it's going to be a process of repairing two at once. The turnbuckle on George's is pretty sad shape. It's turning, but not happily. So put some oil on the threads. We'll see what happens. George doesn't want to have the wood changed. This is the way his father had it. He wants to keep that just that way. So all I'm going to do is fix up the blade. 1 week later. We spoke earlier about George Hooper's father's bow saw, and I put some oil on the turnbuckle, and we'll see if we can get that to move now. Okay, it's loosened up. Now I'm trying to pull these pins out. I think I'm going to need a screwdriver for that. I'm going to pull the pins out of the handles. They would normally be something along the lines of a pin, or quite often it's a bent nail. Screws work just fine. In a pinch, anything that'll go through there and act as a bar to keep the blade from coming out will work. Now this frame is in pretty rough shape, but George specifically said he wanted to leave it just the way his father had it. So we're not going to do anything to it to fix it. We're just going to take it apart, put the pieces over here out of the way, and leave it sit. He just wanted to have the blade sharpened up just so it could be done. Now this is the blade off of George's saw. It's in pretty rough shape. This is how the teeth should look. These are dull, but they're the proper shape. See how the gullets are rounded? When you compare them to the one on George's saw, the gullets are square. If you need to cut the gullets deeper, get something like a chainsaw file or a rat tail file and make it a round gullet. That round gullet spreads the stress out over the whole area of the tooth. There isn't one single point that gets all of the stress. It makes this tooth a lot stronger. Now, because George's saw teeth are in such bad shape, I'm going to take the saw underneath and I'm going to trace out the teeth from this saw on this saw and see if I can grind this blade to match this one. I don't know how well it's going to work. We're going to give it a shot. First thing I need to do is take this blade out. Loosen the turnbuckle. Then once the turnbuckle is loose, I should be able to pull these pins. This is the kind of pin that you want. Looks like a round-headed rivet. It's got a straight shank on it. Just goes through, and then when you tighten up that turnbuckle, the blade pulls on that center section and locks it into the frame. But you see how easy those come out? When it's snowing and you're outside using your buck saw, and you drop one of those pins, it's pretty hard to find. And I think that happens to a lot of them. Besides losing the pins, you can damage your saw in another way. If you hang it up on the wall without relaxing the turnbuckle, bad things can happen. This frame is made of wood. The wood attracts moisture out of the air. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depends on the humidity. If you leave the turnbuckle tightened up, this wood will stretch and it'll tighten up against that blade and the blade won't stretch. It'll snap off the arms on your frame, or it'll break the cross piece. This cross piece is designed with a mortise and tenon so that it goes into that spot right there and seats. This one has had the mortise busted out and the tenon broken off. In an attempt to fix it, George's dad put a screw in. Yep, screws get to be used for a lot of things. But that comes from leaving the turnbuckle tightened. When you're done with it, or if you're just going to leave it as a wall hanging decoration, loosen the turnbuckle. Playing a tune on the blade sounds kind of cool, but if you leave it like that, you're going to have a busted saw that won't hang on the wall anymore. We've had a big uptick in subscribers. That's great. I think it's because I remembered to ask you. YouTube tells me that 95% of you guys visit more than once. But now, 16.9% of you guys are subscribers that are watching the videos. That's great. Let's keep it up. Any of you new guys, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell. That'll get you notified when the next video is up. Every day at noon, Monday through Friday, and on Saturday and Sunday, they're 9 a.m. in the morning because, you know, we all get up early and don't have anything to do first thing Saturday and Sunday. David Chadwick, Marketing Director and Chief Factotem in the Eastern Hemisphere for Old Sneelock's Workshop Tool Restoration Empire, is modeling the latest fashion from TeeSpring Sneelockites United Spring line. He looks very snappy in blue, but it comes in many styles and colors. Best of all, it crossed the stormy winter Atlantic and arrived at the picturesque village in Cheshire, England in a mere 10 days. If you want to get in on the ground floor of this, there's a link in the description that will take you directly to the page where you can order one from TeeSpring. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. Don't forget to click subscribe. Thanks for watching.